Good afternoon, everybody. Today I'd like to talk to you about why owning a truck in rural America is more useful than owning a car or mid-sized sedan. First off, most people believe that trucks are nothing but gas-guzzling, money-draining vehicles as opposed to a car, but let me enlighten you on some facts on why trucks are better for the money. Fuel economy in trucks is important because it is not as low as many people usually think it is. There are add-on parts out there and programmers that you can get for trucks that the average person can understand and use, and the internet is a great means of researching such things, and your local mechanic as well. But let me talk about programmers. Programmers are usually a handheld computer device that plugs into the computer of your truck and sends a code through that computer to alter the settings on your fuel pump. I know it's a little complicated, but what it does is it tunes to what you want it to do. Usually programmers have sport, hauling, and fuel efficiency tunes on them, as well as other different tunes that different companies offer, but those are the main ones that people go for, and you can set your truck to what you want as far as tunes go and to help get better gas mileage. The average mid-sized truck gets about 16 miles to the gallon in the city according to fueleconomy.gov, and the average car gets anywhere in the low 20s depending on the size and engine, as well as the same thing goes for truck depending on the size and engine. But the average is 16, which is not significantly less than what a car gets, so that's another myth. Some more bolt-on parts I'd like to talk about that you can add to your truck to increase mileage is you can get a bigger air filter, different headers, you could get exhausts, and a great way to find out what you need to get and what you need to use is to talk to your local mechanic, use the internet. There's all kinds of tools out there that you can use to find out what to get. So, the main function of a truck, obviously, is its hauling capabilities. That's why they have bigger axles, that's why they have a bed, and more durable frames. Most people in rural America make their living off of farming and jobs such as construction and hauling goods around. So using a truck is important to them because you can't fit a welder, you can't fit hay, you can't fit cattle in the bed of a car. So obviously that is more practical in that sense. Safety is another important thing that you get with a truck, in the fact that it rides higher than a car. The average truck will sit approximately 1 to 2 feet higher than a car, and when you're driving around dark roads at night, you do have a high chance of hitting deer, especially in the fall season when they're more active, and the grill will usually protect you from the carcass of the deer flying through the windshield that you could possibly have in a car, as well as if you do get in a collision, then you are more likely to be okay because of the truck's ride height. According to Fox Business, you'll actually get in 3 to 4 crashes within your lifetime, and they took that average from anyone 16 to 80. So just because you are a good driver does not mean that you cannot get hit by somebody else on the road. Average cost of operation for a truck is a little bit higher. And let me explain why. Average maintenance cost, you have your oil changes, you have your brake changes, just general upkeep that you do with a car, but you're going to be paying a little bit more with the truck because the truck's engines are larger, the brake pads are larger, parts in general are larger because of the larger construction of the truck. A car, depending on where you go, will charge you about $50 to get an oil change. A truck, you're looking at anywhere from $80 to $100, depending on the type of engine. It could be gas or diesel. Brake pads, you're looking the same thing, anywhere $60 to get new brake pads put on. Probably looking like $150 if you take it to a mechanic to get new brake pads put on. But those are the things that you don't do that often that you have to do anyway. So take that how you want it. Average insurance cost for a truck is about 10 to 20% more, simply because the company has to insure a larger vehicle. You have more chance of damaging property with that vehicle, and because it has four-wheel drive, people tend to use it in events such as off-roading, which makes it a little bit more dangerous of a vehicle to own than a car. New versus used trucks. Many people believe that they cannot afford a truck simply because trucks will run about $50,000 new. On the other hand, a car will run about $30,000 new. So where I suggest going is to the used side of the lot. You could get a 10-year-old truck, or even newer, depending on what the kind of truck you want to get, for roughly anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000, depending on your range. You can also do the same thing with a used car. You can also buy new cars in that range, but you're more looking at used cars when you're looking at the $10,000 range. So you're not really spending that much more money to own a truck. Everybody loves to go on road trips with their family. And what that usually encompasses is a lot of luggage that you try to fit in the trunk of a car that is easier to throw in the bed of a truck. Truck beds have way more space. You can put as much stuff as you need in there. And there's always going to be at least one woman on the trip. So you know you're going to have to bring at least half the house. And having that extra space of luggage in the bed of the truck means that there's more leg room in the cab of the truck. And we all love leg room, especially when you're in a car for 6-7 hours a day traveling to wherever your destination is. You can also go further on one tank of gas. A car will get anywhere from 300 miles to a tank. A truck can get roughly 500 to 600 miles to a tank. Handling is also where trucks shine, because in icy road conditions, four-wheel drive is useful, and that way you don't get stuck, you won't run off the road as easily, and handle better in snow. And, of course, mud. Everybody loves to have a little fun every now and then. Trucks are a great way to have fun. Because of their four-wheel drive action, you can go have fun with your buddies in the field in the evenings or on Saturdays and just basically have fun with it. So in conclusion, there are pros and cons to owning both types of vehicles. But in rural America, it is more efficient for you to own a truck over a car. It'll be a safer means of transportation, and you won't lose as much money out of your pocket as you think. So is there any questions you guys have?
Yes. About the four-wheel drive that you were talking about for a truck, but doesn't most cars have four-wheel drive also?
Cars have what's called all-wheel drive, which means all tires turn at all times, no matter what setting you selected in. So the car will burn more fuel because it's turning more parts, it's turning more gears to turn all tires at once. A truck, on the other hand, will only have rear-wheel drive engaged unless you engage it yourself if you need it, and that way you're not moving those parts all the time, you're not using as much wear and tear on them. So that's one advantage of the truck.
Now, in your personal opinion, which would you recommend, a gas or a diesel, in terms of just everyday use?
Everyday use, I would personally recommend a gas truck if you were commuting or using it as a light duty. On the other hand, if you're actually using it for heavy duty work and going for long distances, and by long distances I mean like 600-700 miles, depending on what you're doing, it's definitely a diesel. Diesels are better on the highway. They keep cooler temperature. They get better gas mileage on the highway under load. A gas truck under load on the highway, you're going to look at about 10 miles to the gallon. Diesels, you can stay in the upper teens to low 20s, depending on what you have done to your truck. So, depending on your actual use for the vehicle.
Is it true that diesels are more prone to engine or block freezing over in colder temperatures?
That is true. If you do live in colder temperatures, you will have to plug in your truck in the evenings to keep what's called a block heater running, and also keep your fuel. The fuel will actually gel up. It'll become very, very viscous when it gets cold, so that the truck has trouble starting in the morning if you don't have it plugged in. And depending on where you go and how cold it actually gets, it may not even start at all if you don't plug it in and keep the truck warm, as opposed to a gas truck. Gas trucks, gas won't exactly gel up like diesel will, so it is easier to start. Well, thank you guys for coming, and I hope you guys enjoyed my speech.
Thank you, sir.